The drone's camera flickered as it descended into the abyss, its mechanical whirring the only sound in the oppressive silence. The Earth Hole, as it had come to be known, was a gaping maw in the middle of the Siberian tundra, discovered only weeks ago by a satellite imaging anomaly. No one knew how deep it went, or what had caused it. Theories ranged from a meteorite impact to a geological oddity, but the truth was far more unsettling. Dr. Elena Vasilyev, a renowned astrobiologist, had been tasked with leading the expedition to investigate the anomaly. She stood at the edge of the hole now, her breath visible in the freezing air, watching the live feed from the drone on her monitor. The screen showed nothing but darkness at first, the drone's lights barely piercing the void. Then, as it descended further, the walls of the hole came into view, smooth, almost polished, as if carved by something other than natural forces. Elena leaned closer, her heart pounding. The walls were covered in strange, pulsating veins that glowed faintly, like bioluminescent fungi. She adjusted the drone's camera to zoom in, and her breath caught in her throat. The veins weren't organic, they were mechanical, or perhaps something in between, a fusion of biology and technology that defied comprehension. "This can't be real," she muttered, her voice trembling. The drone continued its descent, the walls growing narrower, the veins more densely packed. The air inside the hole seemed to hum with a low, resonant frequency that made her teeth ache. She checked the drone's sensors. Temperature, radiation, atmospheric composition, all normal or at least within expected parameters, but something was wrong. The data felt off, as if the sensors were lying to her. The drone reached a depth of 1,000 meters and the walls suddenly opened up into a vast cavern. Elena's monitor filled with an image that made her blood run cold. The cavern was enormous, its ceiling lost in shadow, its floor a sprawling expanse of what looked like black glass. But it wasn't glass. It was something else, something alive. The surface rippled like water, though there was no wind, no movement to disturb it. And in the center of the cavern, rising from the black expanse, was a structure. It was impossible to describe. It was neither a building nor a natural formation, but something that existed in the liminal space between the two. Its surfaces shifted and flowed, as if it were made of liquid metal, yet it held a solid, tangible form. The structure pulsed with the same bioluminescent veins that lined the walls of the hole, and Elena realized with a start that the veins were connected to it, feeding into it like arteries into a heart. "What the hell is that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum that now seemed to emanate from the monitor itself. The drone's camera panned across the structure, revealing intricate patterns etched into its surface. Patterns that seemed to writhe and shift as she looked at them, as if they were alive. She felt a sudden, overwhelming urge to look away, to shut off the feed and pretend she had never seen any of this. But she couldn't. She was transfixed, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. The drone moved closer to the structure, its lights reflecting off the black surface below. And then, without warning, the surface erupted. Something massive, something that defied all logic and reason, burst forth from the black expanse. Elena screamed, stumbling back from the monitor as the thing filled the screen. It was a monster, but not like any monster she had ever imagined. It was a living contradiction, a being that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Its body was a shifting mass of tendrils and eyes and mouths, each part of it moving independently, yet all connected in a way that made her head ache just to look at it. The drone's feed began to distort, the image breaking up into static as the thing reached for it. Elena could hear a sound coming through the speakers, a sound that shouldn't have been possible, a low, guttural growl that seemed to vibrate through her very bones. The last thing she saw before the feed cut out completely was one of the monster's eyes staring directly into the camera, into her. It was an eye that held no malice, no anger, no emotion at all. It was simply aware. And in that moment, Elena felt a terror so profound, so all-encompassing, that she thought she might die from it. She sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the blank screen, her mind racing. What had she just witnessed? What was that thing, and more importantly, what did it mean? She knew, deep down, that she had stumbled upon something far beyond human understanding, something that should have remained hidden. But it was too late now. The knowledge was in her head, and it was eating away at her, unraveling her sanity, thread by thread. The rest of the expedition team found her like that, sitting in front of the monitor, her eyes wide and unseeing. They tried to talk to her, to snap her out of it, but she was gone, lost in the labyrinth of her own mind. They shut down the operation, sealed the hole, and buried the truth as deep as they could. But the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how hard you try to hide it. Elena was institutionalized, her mind shattered by what she had seen, but in her rare moments of lucidity, she would whisper the same thing over and over again. "We're not alone." And we never were. Her words were dismissed as the ramblings of a madwoman, but those who had been there, who had seen the hole and the thing that lived within it, knew better. They knew that the universe was far stranger, far more terrifying than anyone had ever imagined, and they knew that some truths were better left undiscovered. The Earth hole was forgotten, buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and denial, but the thing in the hole, the thing was still there, waiting. And one day it would wake up, and when it did, the world would learn the true meaning of terror. The moral of the story is clear. There are some things that humanity is not meant to know, some doors that should never be opened. For behind those doors lies not just the unknown, but the unknowable. A reality so alien, so hostile, that it threatens to destroy not just our bodies but our very souls. The pursuit of knowledge is a noble endeavor, but it is not without its dangers. And sometimes, the greatest danger of all is the truth itself.